Namaskar friends, let us discuss lump sum contract and deputy works as mentioned in Central Public Works Accounts Code. This video is prepared by RK Didactics and it contains notes followed by MCQs. Online classes are available. If you are interested, you may contact in the following email. Well, what is lump sum contract? In a lump sum contract, the contractor agrees to execute a complete work with all its contingencies in accordance with the drawing and specification for a fixed sum. That means a contractor will do the completed work with all its drawing and designs and will be paid only for the completed work. There is no item-wise payment. The essential characteristics of the lump sum contracts are: if there is any additional alteration not covered by contract, there will be a schedule of rate which will be specified so that the amount can be added or deducted from the fixed sum. So lump sum contract means it is a completed work. If subsequently there is any additional alteration, there will be some schedule of rates which will be specified so that the payment for additional alteration may be made. Detailed measurements of the work are not recorded except in respect of additional alteration. As it is a complete set of work, there is no detailed measurement required for payment. Only on completion of work the payment will be made, and if there is any additional alteration, then there may be some measurement. Normally, the form of all contracts including lump sum contract is prescribed by government in consultation with the law officers. The account rules are made on the assumption that the essential conditions of prescribed contract format will be observed in drawing up contracts. So there is a definite set of accounting rules, and on that basis the contracts are prepared, and the contracts are also prepared on the basis of a prescribed format of government, which is prepared by in consultation with the law officer. How payment for lump sum contract is done? It is to be ensured that the works are executed in accordance with the prescribed specifications, plans, drawings, and payments for work done are on the certificate of the officers in charge of the work. As there is no item-wise payment and it is for a completed work, it must be certified by a competent authority or a officer that the work has been completed as per prescribed specification, plans, and drawings. For any intermediate payment, a certificate should be given by a responsible officer. He must be not below than the rank of sub-regional officer, to the effect that by general or superficial measurement he has satisfied himself that the value of work done is not less than a specified amount and is in conformity with the contract agreement. So for any intermediate payment, a STO level officer minimum will give a certificate that on the basis of general or superficial measurement he has done a limited or prescribed number of work, and for that payment will be made, and the work has been done according to prescribed drawings and specifications. It will also include in the certificate. Now, what type of forms of bills are used for lump sum contract? Form 27A and 27B are used for payments of lump sum contracts. Form 27A is intended for intermediate payments to the contractor. For this payment, no details of work done need to be reproduced in the bills except for a reference to the number of pages of the MB books. It means for the intermediate payment there is no detailed measurement or detailed work done, only there will be a reference that on the number of MB books and pages something has been measured, and on that basis payment will be made. This form is also used for payment of secured advance to the contractor obtaining indenture in Form 31. That means secured advance is also paid in Form 27A, but for payment of secured advance and security or undertaking is taken in Form 31. In such case, the detailed account of materials should be kept in Part 2 of the bill. As you know that secured advance is given for procuring materials, So after payment of secured advance, a detailed account of material should be kept in part 2 of the bill. The certificate at serial number 3 of the part 3 of the bill, form 27A, must be signed by the officer not below the rank of SDO. Then form 27B is used for final payments to the contractor. This is printed on yellow paper to distinguish it from that of the running bill. That means the intermediate bill is paid in form 27A and final bill is paid in 27B, and it is printed in yellow paper. Works abstract and register of works are also maintained for lump sum contract. Further, all intermediate payments to the contractor are treated as advance. Because the contract is for a lump sum work, there shall be no measurement. Only after completion of work, the contractor is eligible for any final payment. So all intermediate payments are treated as advance. Any payments for additions and alterations are also treated like advance payments and is kept under suspense at contractor's advance payment. All secured advances and recoverable payments like value of material supplied shall be entered in the accounts under the suspense at contractor's secured advance and contractor's other transactions respectively. It means any intermediate payment will be treated as advance and will be kept in contractor's secured advance or contractor's other transactions suspense at respectively. From the final bill paid to the contractor, that is in form 27B, the total advances made to him in the running account bills or intermediate payments in form 27A will be recovered as deducted as recovery. Such recoveries will be shown as a minus figure under the suspense sets. Accordingly, when the minus figure will tally with the plus figure, means when these recoveries will be to the extent of previous payments made for advance etc. will be equal to accounts, then it will be adjusted. So when the intermediate payment and recovery will tally, then the account will be adjusted. Let us discuss what are various types of deposits received by the public works departments. Here deposit means not the grants or funds received through treasury. This deposit means the cash or interest bearing securities received by the public works division for various purposes. So deposit transactions of public works departments are of two kinds. First is public works deposit. These deposits pass through the regular accounts of the division. That means these deposits are accounted for in the public works account. Second is interest bearing securities. These do not pass through the regular account of the division. Public works deposits which pass through the regular accounts of the division consist of the following transactions. First is cash deposits of subordinate as security. Second is cash deposit of contractors as security. Third is deposits for work other than Tokavi works to be done. Then sums due to contractors on closed accounts and miscellaneous deposits. These five types of deposits are known as public works deposit, and these deposits pass through the regular accounts of the division. Second is interest bearing securities. These are deposited by subordinates or contractors as security. These deposits do not pass through the regular accounts of division. So main difference between public works deposits and interest bearing securities are, first is pass through the regular accounts of division, and second doesn't pass through the regular accounts of the division. Security deposits. Security deposits from subordinates and contractors are made in cash. It may also be in form of security that are covered by a bond or agreement. It means from subordinates, security deposits may be received through cash or in form of bond or agreements. The bond or agreement contain conditions under which the security is held or refunded appropriated. Reference to such bond or agreement should be recorded in the deposit register or the register of subordinates. These securities may be in form of promissory notes, stock certificates, national savings certificates, post office cash certificates, post office savings bank passbooks, deposit receipts of scheduled banks including fixed deposits, municipal debenture or postal bonds and other bonds, Kisan Vikas Patra, etc. So these are various types of interest bearing securities. We shall discuss in detail in the later part. So it means Security deposit from subordinates or contractors may be taken in cash or in the form of bond or agreement, and these are promissory notes, stock certificates, national certificate, etc. Let us discuss what are the conditions on receiving various types of interest-bearing security deposits. Promissory notes and short stock certificates of government and gold bonds shall be accepted at 5% below their market price or at their face value, whichever is less. It means we have to compare the market price and face value, and the market price will be deducted by 5% and will be compared by face value, whichever is less it will be taken as its costs, or this value will be taken to account. And second is post office cash certificates, national savings certificates, national plan certificates, etc. These are formally transferred to the President of India. Then these certificates which are not held in the name of the person furnishing the security shall not be accepted. So any of these certificate when deposited with the PWD department, it will be transferred to the in the name of President of India. However, the certificates which are not in the name of the person furnishing it will not be accepted. Then post office savings bank passbook. Post office savings bank passbook shall be accepted as security if the depositor has signed and delivered to postmaster a letter to that effect. So only after the depositor in whose name the account passbook is there, he will write an application and sign it and deliver it to the postmaster. Then only this savings bank passbook will be taken as an interest bearing security deposit with the department. The passbook should remain in the custody of the officer to whom the deposit are placed. The passbook shall be sent to the post office in the beginning of each financial year to get the entries on account of interest made in them. Then deposit receipts of all scheduled banks, including fixed deposits, shall be made out in the name of the pledge. The bank shall certify on it that the deposit can be withdrawn only on the demand or with the sanction of the pledgee. That means the deposit receipts will be made in the name of the pledgee, and the amount can be withdrawn only with the sanction of the pledgee. While accepting the fixed deposit receipts, it should be ensured that these cover the stipulated period of contract plus the defect liability period mentioned in the contract, and also the receipts should be made out in the name of the divisional officer. It means suppose for a work which will be completed within 2 years, then if any security is given as fixed deposit receipts, then the period of the fixed deposit must cover the completion period or any further period for any defect liability, and this fixed deposit receipt will also be made in the name of the divisional officer. Then fidelity bond. Fidelity bond in form GFR 34 shall be accepted as security from a government servant only, but not from a private party. So fidelity bond just is an undertaking. It is not any interest bearing securities or not in cash, but it will be taken only from government servant, not from private party. What are the other deposits? Deposit for works other than Tokafi works are passed through the head public works deposit. Such works are known as deposit works. These are deposited with the division by the user department for execution of any definite work. It means suppose some private party or private institution or any other department wants to make some construction or any activity or execute one project, he may deposit some fund to the public works department for such construction. These are known as deposit works. Then contractors closed account. Any sum due to contractors on closed accounts are also placed in the deposit account. This deposit is ultimately paid to the contractor concerned with his acknowledgement. Then miscellaneous deposits further. All other deposits are classified as miscellaneous deposit. This set continues until clearance. Normally, all receipts, the classification of which cannot be determined at once or which represent errors in account awaiting adjustment are kept in this set. That means any receipt which cannot be classified immediately or where there is some error in classification in accounts, this will be put in miscellaneous set. So what are lapse deposit or confiscated deposit? The following deposits shall be treated as lapsed and is credited to government as lapse deposit at close of March each year. It means there are some deposits available with public finance department. These will be lapsed on certain conditions and will be deposited to the government account at close of March each year. What are these conditions? Deposits not exceeding ₹25 unclaimed for one whole account year will be treated as lapse deposit and will be deposited in the government account. If any amount is excess ₹25 but unclaimed for more than 3 completed account years, it will be treated as lapse deposit. A list of all lapse deposits shall be sent to the PO. However, deposits related to contracts, supply orders under litigation or arbitration shall not be deemed as unclaimed deposits for the purpose of crediting to government. So, any deposit which is made for a contract or supply orders which are under litigation or under court order, this shall be treated as unclaimed deposit or lapse deposit and shall not be deposited in the government account. The lapsed and confiscated deposits credited to government cannot be repaid without pre-check by pay and accounts officer. So, any lapsed deposit which has been deposited in the government account cannot be repaid without pre-check by PAO. The amount repaid is treated as refund of receipts under the relevant measure head to which it was credited, and the repayment should be noted in the deposit register. So, what is deposit register? All transactions relating to public funds deposit is kept in the divisional office in a deposit register in form CPWA 67. The register shows month by month the total receipts and adjustments and the closing balance of each separate deposit item. However, the deposit for work are kept for in detail in the schedule of deposit works in form CPWA 65. So there is a difference between deposit register and schedule of deposit works. So what is schedule of deposit works? From the deposit register, a monthly extract, that is schedule of deposit in form CPWA 79, is prepared for submission to PAO. So from deposit register, some amount is taken and is kept in schedule of deposit, which shall be submitted to PAO. It has two parts, and part 1 contains total for each class of deposit, and part 2 contains extracts from the deposit register of such items that are related to the particular month for which it is prepared. Transactions connected with interest-bearing securities do not pass through the cash book and regular accounts of the division. We have discussed it previously. So how they will be accounted for? For that, a register of the receipt and disposal of this security is kept in CPWA form 85. It is known as Register of Interest-Bearing Securities. At the close of the year, an account in CPWA form 86 is prepared from this register for submission to the PL. The account should be supported by original acknowledgement of depositors for security returned during the year and the certificate to the divisional officer that all securities shown as outstanding in this account are in this possession. So, the interest-bearing securities is kept in a register in form 85A and an annual return is submitted to PAO in CPWA form 86 with the supporting document. First is original acknowledgement of depositors for securities returned during the year, and second is a certificate will be given by the divisional officer that all securities shown in outstanding is available in the division or are in his possession. So now we shall discuss some questions on the basis of the previous discussion. First question is, which is not correct on a lump sum contract? Option A, detailed measurement is necessary for lump sum contract. Option B, detailed measurement of the work done are generally not required. Option C, detailed measurements of the work done are not required to be recorded except in respect of additions and alterations. So question is, which is not correct on a lump sum contract? And the answer is, detailed measurement is not necessary for lump sum contract. It is not correct. So what is the provisions for lump sum contract? That for any payment, detailed measurement is not necessary only for the In respect of additions and alternations, detailed measurement is necessary. Which is not correct on payment of lump sum contract? Option A. Intermediate payment to the contractor is made in Form 21A. Option B. Final payments to the contractor is made on Form 27B. Option C. Secured advances to the contractor is paid obtaining indenture in Form 31. Option D. For this payment, details of work done need to be reproduced in the bill with reference to the number and page of the MB books. So question is which is not correct, and the answer is D is not correct, because for this payment no details of work done need be produced in the bill except reference to the number of pages in the MB books. Which is correct on payment to lump sum contract? Option A. All intermediate payments to the contractor are treated as advance. Option B. Any payments for additions and alternations are treated like advance payments and is kept under suspended contractors' advance payments. Option C. All secured advances is entered in the accounts under the suspended contractors' secured advances. Option D. All of these. And the answer is all of these. All the three options are correct. Public wash deposit is that deposit which pass through the regular accounts of the division. Which of the following is not a public wash deposit? Option A. Cash deposits of subordinate as security. Option B. Cash deposits of contractors as security. Option C. Deposit for work other than Takavi works to be done. Option D. Promissory notes and stock certificates of the central government or state government submitted by the contractor. Question is which is not a public wash deposit? Answer is promissory notes and stock certificates of central government or state government submitted by its contractor are not public wash deposit. These are actually interest bearing securities. Which of these securities is accepted at 5% below their market price or at their face value, whichever is less? Option A. Promissory notes and stock certificates of the central government. Option B. Post office cash certificates, national savings certificates, certificates and national plan certificates. Option C. Municipal debenture or posted bonds and or debentures issued by the state financial corporations. Option D. All of these. So answer promissory notes and stock certificates of the central government. Fidelity bond in Form GFR 34 is accepted as security from which of the following? Option A. Government servant. B. Contractor. C. Suppliers. D. Private persons. And the answer is fidelity bond is accepted from government servant. When cash deposits of subordinates and contractors is converted into interest bearing securities, who shall provide the cost of conversion? Option A. Government. Option B. Government servant and contractors. Option C. To be shared equally by government and the party. Option D. No cost is necessary for such conversion. And the answer is the cost of conversion shall be borne by government servant or contractors who submit the cash to convert it into interest bearing securities. At the close of March each year, which of the following items in public wash account shall not be credited to government as last deposit? Option A. Deposits not exceeding ₹25 unclaimed for one whole account year. Option B. Deposits in excess of ₹25 unclaimed for more than 3 complete account years. Option C. Any deposits related to contracts, supply orders under litigations or arbitrations. Option D. None of these. So question is which shall not be credited as lapse deposit? And the answer is any deposits related to contracts, supply orders under litigation or arbitration shall not be declared as lapse deposit. All transactions relating to public wash deposit is kept in the divisional office in a deposit register, and from the deposit register a monthly extract, that is schedule of deposits, is prepared for submission to PAO. The deposit register is maintained in which of the following form? Option A. Form CPWS 65. Option B. Form CPWS 79. Option C. Form CPWS 67. Option D. Form CPWS 85. And the answer is it is kept in Form CPWS 67. Actually, Form CPWS 65 is for schedule of deposit works, CPWS 79 is schedule of deposits, and CPWS 85 is register of interest bearing securities. Thank you. If you find this video beneficial, you may subscribe to RK Didactics for more such videos.